Greetings to one and all. You're listening to MMJC Fortnightly podcast. We are in the month of October, and October is the month of number of compliances for the company secretary professionals. One amongst multiple such compliances is filing of MSME forms by specified companies. In April edition of our MMJC Fortnightly podcast, we had discussed about the applicability of MSME forms and various different concepts related to it. But thereafter, in July 2024, the principal form MSME-1 and the principal rules which mandate the filing of this form both underwent an amendment. So in this edition of MMJC Fortnightly podcast, we shall be discussing about such amendments and their implications. And to guide us in this regard, we shall have with us CS Miss Hasti Vora and the team of MMJC. So Hasti, to begin with, first give us a brief background about the MSME form and its origin. I mean, the principal rules.
So the requirement of filing this form MSME-1 comes from an MCA order dated 22nd January 2019, which we shall refer to as Principal Order under Section 405 of Companies Act 2013. Now, in the amendment dated 15 July 2024, in this Principal Order, a new proviso has been inserted after para 3 of that order.
Okay. So first tell me, what does the para 3 of the order say? And then we will move on to the proviso.
So basically, para 3 of the principal order states that all specified companies should provide information regarding outstanding payments to MSME vendors in form MSME-1 till 31st October for first half year and till 30th April for second half year. The newly inserted proviso is actually a clarificatory provision which provides that only such specified companies whose payments to micro or small suppliers are pending for period of more than 45 days should file this form. It is important to note that here the word is pending and not outstanding. So this means even those instances where payment is not outstanding as at the end of half year, but it was pending for more than 45 days during the half year also needs to be reported in the form.
Okay. So what is the impact of this proviso? I mean, which all companies will be required to file this form due to insertion of this proviso?
So the companies who are required to file this form will be such companies who have one, micro and small vendors to whom payment has been done during half year, but after a period of 45 days. And second, micro and small vendors whose payment is outstanding as of end of half year, but 45 days are not over yet.
But since the form MSME-1 has shifted to V3 portal, it also asks about the details of those vendors to whom payment has been made within 45 days. So in that case, what do we need to report?
So as discussed above, the details of those micro or small vendors for whom either payments are done after 45 days or their payment is outstanding for more than 45 days needs to be reported in the form. But in case of such vendors, there may be some instances where payments are made within 45 days or payment is outstanding as at the end of the year, but 45 days period is not yet crossed. So while reporting the details of any particular vendor, along with the disclosures of payments made in delay and outstanding delayed amounts, the disclosure of payments made to that vendor within 45 days and those dues of that vendor which are outstanding for less than 45 days are also to be reported now. These are some new additions in the V3 version of MCA which were not asked when the form was in earlier V2 version.
Okay, understood. Now let's try to understand it further with the help of an example. Suppose I am a company who has 10 MSME vendors. Out of those, to 8 MSME vendors, all the payments at all the times have been made within 45 days. Out of remaining 2 MSME vendors, to one vendor, some payments have been made after 45 days, and in some situations, payments have been made after 45 days. But in the last case of a last vendor, payment is outstanding, but 45 days or not yet. Which all situations do I need to report?
So the language of the proviso talks about those MSMEs whose payment is outstanding for more than 45 days. Therefore, it appears from the language of the proviso that information regarding only that vendors to whom payment is made after 45 days and whose payment is outstanding beyond 45 days should be given. While giving information about these vendors, the details of payments done to these particular vendors within 45 days and also the details of dues outstanding which have not crossed 45 days also needs to be given. It appears that information of other vendors to whom all payments are made within 45 days and any amount outstanding at the end of half year has not crossed 45 days period may not be given in the form.
Okay. Are there any more technicalities in the form?
So there are two important technical changes. The first is that the form has shifted to V3 portal of MCA and therefore is a web-based form. That is, till it is in the draft mode, it can be accessed only by putting the login credentials of the person who has filed the form. Secondly, the form now requires the user to download an Excel template from the link in the form, fill therein the information regarding the micro and small vendors, and then upload the said template through the link in the form. The columns in the form regarding information of vendors are autofilled on the basis of this Excel template.
Okay. And what is the purpose of introducing this Excel template?
So now, basically, before we actually got these information, now we can provide the information of maximum 1,000 vendors through one form itself. Earlier, the details of only 99 vendors could be filed in this one form. If there were more than 99 vendors, then multiple forms were required to be filed. So that is the basic advantage of having an Excel template.
Okay. That was a really brief discussion about the amendments to the form and to the principal rules as well. I am sure it would help our listeners while filing the form. Thank you, Hasti, for guiding us in this regard, and thank you for our listeners for patient listening. Please feel free to write to us about your inputs at mmjcinfo@mm